All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, it's been 41 years since we witnessed one of the great runs in NCAA tournament history when the North Carolina State Wolfpack came out of nowhere to win the national championship. And 41 years later, the Wolfpack are once again wearing that glass slipper. Now, NC State finished the regular season by losing 7 of their final 9. And with that, the Wolfpack entered the ACC tournament as the 10 seed. And not only did they enter as a 10 seed, they actually entered the tournament with a sub 500 record within the conference for the regular season. Now, nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody out of NC State themselves had this team on the radar in regards to making the NCAA tournament. Pardon me, or just making a run before the NCAA tournament, was making a run in the ACC tournament for what it's worth, more or less winning it. But the pack figured it out at the right time. Now, North Carolina State took care of their business in round 1 of the ACC tournament against the bad Louisville team, which everybody expected them to take care of. But then dominating Syracuse in the second round, it was like, okay, fine. But then when the Wolfpack got to the ACC quarters and knocked off Duke, that kind of raised some eyebrows. But people were saying, okay, you won 3 games in 3 days. When is NC State going to run out of gas? They turned around in the ACC semis. They beat Virginia, and then they went on to keep the momentum going and beat in-state rival North Carolina for the ACC championship after the Tar Heels had beaten NC State twice during the regular season. And of course, in winning the ACC tournament, NC State, they secured the automatic bid from the Atlantic Coast Conference. And of course, those bubble teams were not happy to see that, as they took a bid away from somebody. But nonetheless, credit to the Wolfpack for being able to keep the momentum going when the NCAA tournament started. They beat 6-seeded Texas Tech in the first round before they ended the Cinderella story of Oakland, who had just upset Kentucky. It was on to the Sweet 16, and then we saw the Wolfpack dominate a very good Marquette team out of the Big East to advance to the Elite Eight to set up the third meeting with Duke in the month of March alone. And just like it was in the ACC tournament, the Blue Devils simply had no answer for North Carolina State. Now, this is going to be NC State's first trip to the Final Four since 1983. And like I said before, that year, the basketball world, saw them win the national championship in improbable fashion. That year, NC State beat ACC foe Virginia twice in the postseason to advance. This time around, it was Duke. And of course, that year, Virginia had beaten NC State both times in the regular season. It was just one meeting this year between NC State and Duke during the regular season. And then, of course, Duke got the best of the Wolfpack in that contest, but then in the ACC tournament. And then, of course, yesterday in the Elite Eight, of course, it was a different story for North Carolina State. Now, that year when the Wolfpack won it all, they had to beat basically what seemed to be an unbeatable Houston team for the national championship. You think about that with Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon on that team. And then, of course, beating that Virginia team with the great Ralph Sampson before that twice. Now, this time around, North Carolina State, if they're going to win it, okay, they got 2 more games to go. If they're going to win it, more than likely they're going to have to go through both Purdue and UConn, 2 1 seeds, 2 phenomenal teams. And of course, when you think about Purdue, you think about Zach Edey, and then when you think about UConn, one of the first guys that comes to mind is Donovan Clingan. But credit to this North Carolina State team under head coach Kevin Keatts. Why? Because they've won 9 straight elimination games. And I know that, okay, all 4 teams that are still alive for the national championship, clearly The last 4 games for them have been elimination games. Yes, but it's a little bit different from North Carolina State because they had zero wiggle room, okay? Zero going into the ACC tournament. At that point, you figured, all right, they might win a game, maybe, polish up their NIT resume and, just take it from there. But North Carolina State said, no, we're here to shatter dreams and we're here to keep this thing going. And I say about 9 straight elimination games because we've seen sometimes where teams just ball out in their conference tournament to try to get to the NCAA tournament. And then by the time that the NCAA tournament comes around, they don't have anything left in the tank. They have exhausted everything just to get there. And sometimes when you're on that emotional high, it's very difficult to turn it around a week later and come back and try to wash, rinse, and repeat the process again. But that has not been the case with the pack this year. You look at this NCAA tournament so far, and one thing that North Carolina State has been able to do, they've been able to dictate things. They've been able to out physical their opponents. They jump on you early, and it's one of those where you know what they make you play their style of game. If you look at all 4 of these games so far that they've won, for the most part, they've out physicaled their opponent. That's going to be easier said than done come Saturday evening in Arizona against a very good Purdue team. But I'll tell you like this: North Carolina State has more than a puncher's chance. I mean, you think about the big fella, DJ Burns, who has become a household name during this NCAA tournament. And I think he's one of the feel good stories of this tournament. I mean, you look at a guy, he's 6'9", he's listed at 275, probably a little bit more than that. And you know what? This big fella just goes out there, he balls, he has fun. And I think not just his team, but like the North Carolina State community, honestly, the basketball community, because you look at a guy like DJ Burns, and it's hard to root against, a guy like that because he's simply going out there balling and having fun. And it's not just about him. This NC State team, they belong. You look at the likes of DJ Horn, Casey Morcell, Jaden Taylor, and others. And I know I'm calling them a Cinderella. I know that some people are not going to feel that the Wolfpack are a Cinderella due to the fact that they're in a power conference, but I still consider them a Cinderella. They came at this thing as an 11 seed, and again, nobody going into conference championship week had North Carolina State on their radar to win the ACC. Nobody had North Carolina State on their radar to get out of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, and now you got 4 teams that have just cut down the nets in their respective regions of this NCAA tournament, and the Wolfpack are one of those teams. So I'll look at it like this. The guard play has been tremendous for NC State. The physicality of their play has been tremendous. The us against the world mentality has worked as well. And I'll tell you like this: if you had told the people on Tobacco Road before this tournament started that the last ACC team standing and the only ACC team that was going to get to the Final Four, I guarantee you more than likely they would have said, well, it's going to be North Carolina, and if not North Carolina, Duke or both. No, it's the Wolfpack. They have crashed this party, and I'll tell you like this: this team is playing with house money, and when you got a team that's playing with house money, they're very scary. And this is what the Wolfpack are. My thing is this: I don't think that being that they didn't allow the momentum to taper off after they won the ACC tournament, I don't think that they're going to allow the momentum to taper off after they just won their region and get to the Final Four. They've got a big chore ahead of them, yes, to get past a very good Purdue team, but NC State is going to be ready come Saturday night. It's one of the feel good stories of this NCAA tournament. This is what March Madness is all about. This is what March Madness is built on, the improbable stories. Nobody saw this stuff coming from North Carolina State outside of the people in that locker room, coaches and players alike. And again, it is a feel good story of a tremendous tournament. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.